I got a haircut the other day. It's been more than a year, and I'm so excited that I actually have a professional haircut. Last week, we flew to Las Vegas. What are you doing now that you haven't done in more than a year? Welcome to the Solopreneur Life Podcast. I am your host, Kathryn Aragon. Learn what it takes to build and scale your own business so you can enjoy the freedom and flexibility that comes with the solopreneur life. Today, we are talking about change, adapting, and being your best self. All of that so you can achieve the goals that you set for yourself and your business. Now, before we get started, I want you to take a minute to subscribe to the Solopreneur Life Podcast so you don't miss a single episode. This is so important for your growth. We talk about all the ins and outs of growing your solopreneur business and building a business and a life you love. We're going to talk first about my haircut, of course. It was such a radical thing to just show up at a store and say, hey, can you see me? And I was very fortunate to get a guy who's never cut my hair before. And it turns out it was his last haircut before he takes a long break. And I'm so glad that I got him because my hair looks fantastic. I told him, they were like, well, we won't be able to dry your hair. And I'm like, that's great because I never dry my hair. I just want to make sure you cut it in a way that it works with my hair's natural curl because otherwise it won't curl. And he nailed it. If you are watching the video, you can see it just feels so great to have it be a good length, have it not be crazy wild, and just it feels like a fresh start. Now think about that. It's been more than a year since we have had anything normal. So everything that we do right now feels new. It's almost like being a child again, where everything is a discovery. And I feel like if we have the right attitude, we can step into that newness again. I'm thoroughly excited about having a great haircut. Now, I actually did get a haircut. Shout out to a family member who just was living with us during the pandemic, who cut my hair for me last summer. And that was such a great thing because my hair grows relatively quickly. And once it gets into the middle of my back, it's like I just can't even move without my hair being in the way. But it's been a year since then, so you can imagine how long and unwieldy it was getting. Well, having a fresh haircut done by a professional is such a great feeling that I just feel like, this wonderful feeling of newness. It should never get old. And here's the deal. We're solopreneurs. We get to create that feeling anytime we want. Now, here's another new thing going on in my life. We just got back from a trip to Las Vegas. Now, I know you've probably been. For some odd reason, I've never been. So this was my first time back on a plane in more than a year. This was my first trip to Las Vegas, and while we were there, we were looking at houses. We decided, you know what, this is where we want to be. So we put our house up for sale and sold it before we got home. Talk about new and different, right? The world is not the same. Now, first of all, flying to Vegas or flying back also, it doesn't feel like everything is fully operational. And that's a unique thing that I think we can see it as a good thing for us. As the rest of the world is trying to get restarted, they're having to step back into roles and situations that they're a little rusty, let's face it. Our flight to Las Vegas got delayed by a couple of hours. Now, fortunately, they didn't put us on the plane before they decided that should happen. So we were just hanging out in the lobby. But our flight back, they kept sending updates. Oh, it's pushed back another 15 minutes, another 15 minutes, another 15 minutes. oh my gosh, it was a couple of hours. And already this was one of those flights where we were going the wrong direction on the time zone. And we were already expecting to get back at like 1 a.m. We were going to be getting back at 4. And we were immediately going to take a road trip up to visit family. So that just wasn't even an option for us. We went ahead and changed the flight to the next day. Because why? Because everything is just getting started again. Nobody really is comfortable with this new normal. We called last year a new normal. I'm saying now is the new normal because we're getting back to so-called normalcy. But nothing about life is normal. The airlines, when you go in, you've got to be wearing a mask at all times. And man, it's a federal crime not to have the mask on. That's different. When we were flying Southwest, not my favorite, so don't judge me, but it was the flight that got us, flying at the time we wanted to fly. When they were bringing drinks around, there was no food options, and for the drink, it was like, don't talk to us, just hold up 1 finger for a Coke, 2 for a Diet Coke, 3 for a Sprite or something like that, and 4 for water. Literally, 4 options, hold up your finger to tell us which one you want. You think that's normal? If that's the new normal, we're in for some big changes because just even the proximity to other people feels dangerous. So yeah, the world is opening up and I can go into some stores without a mask. I don't feel obligated to wear a mask, although granted with the new variants coming out, I probably will. But everything is still different. And that's what we can step into. As solopreneurs, we can move faster. And really, our world didn't change quite as dramatically as it did for the rest of the world. People who have to go to a physical building to do their job, well, their world was turned upside down a year ago. Mine wasn't. I work from home. I can get to make all the calls on how my business runs. I get to decide what direction it's going, who I work with, how I work, and not that much changed. In fact, a few things opened up for me because there was more opportunity. And that's what I want you to remember. In this world, change happens. We're going to talk more about that in just a minute. But if you are willing to move forward when everybody else is holding back, there's a world of opportunity for you. And you've got that ability as a business owner. You get to call your own shots, which means when everybody else is a little bit nervous about investing in this future direction, if you see the trends and if you believe it's a good opportunity, by all means, go there. You will establish yourself long before anyone else does. Look at the people who started blogging before anyone else really understood what the internet was. They became the superstars of today. Anytime the world is topsy-turvy and things are dramatically changing and you're an early adopter or you're one of the people who sees and steps into a new trend first, you are going to stand out. Take advantage of this opportunity. Everything is topsy-turvy. Nothing is really normal, even though this so-called return to normalcy, it's not. And it's going to take a while for things to settle down. So move forward confidently. That's what I want you to remember. Anything is possible. The world has changed. So don't ever let the fear of the unknown hold you back. Here's what I want you to do. It's just 4 things. Decide what you want. You need to get really clear about those details. So that's number 2. Get clear about what your vision is. What does it look like, this thing that you want? 3, how can you make it happen? This is my magic question. How can I make that happen? If you ask that question, if you look at, okay, I have more control than I think I have, and if I pull certain levers, if I make certain steps, if I say certain things, I can make anything happen. What might that be? This is how you come up with a strategy. This is how you pivot. You ask this magic question, how can I make it happen? And then do it. That's step 4. Consistent action will make anything happen. So always remember, you can move forward right now in spite of the uncertainty, in spite of not knowing what things are going to look like when they settle down. Just decide what you want and start making it happen. Now that brings us to our second topic today, and that is change. Change really is inevitable. I saw a LinkedIn post today that read, soft skills grow with you over time. Hard skills decay over time. So he's trying to make a comparison. Soft skills grow, hard skills decay. And he says due to new systems and technology coming online. His tip, optimize accordingly. Now, I'm going to argue with everything he says. Truth is, you're going to be adapting every day of your life until you die. That is a fact. Because why? Because change is inevitable. Every single day, someone invents something. Somebody comes up with an idea. Somebody shares a tip on LinkedIn and people rally around it. Some business launches a course that everyone in marketing takes and decides this is the new way of doing things. You've seen it happen already. You know you have. So what makes us think that won't happen in the future? Now, that's sort of what he's saying. He's saying hard skills decay over time. You have to stay relevant. You have to continue to learn. But why isn't that true also with soft skills? Think about, now some of you may not be old enough to remember before computers, but think about all the old people in your life and how they grumble over the way young people do things. And we're talking about the way they talk, the way they engage with the world, the way they find entertainment. Oh my gosh, when video games were becoming a big thing, all of the parents were like, they were shocked that their children did nothing but play video games. Now think about that for a minute. They were worried that their children were not learning soft skills that they would need to succeed. The truth of the matter is, by not playing video games, by not staying up to date technologically, the parents were becoming a little less relevant. The kids were learning the skills, soft skills, engaging long distance with their friends, playing a game miles and even countries apart. Those were the soft skills they were learning that would serve them as they stepped into adulthood. It's always true. Soft skills also evolve. If we don't constantly stay up to date on the way we talk with one another, the way we engage with the world, just even our expectations of the world, we can't stay relevant. And this is especially true for us as solopreneurs. The world will change every single day until we die. We can't be afraid of change. We have got to stay relevant. And ideally, we always want to be some of the first adopters. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to just make a pact with yourself. I am going to watch the trends. I'm not going to get so busy doing my work and running my business that I'm oblivious to what's going on around me. We need to watch the trends. So then things are going to change. New things are going to happen. We're going to see those new things first before other people notice them. And we're going to think about how that will impact our future. For instance, I was talking with my husband about this new truck, the new Tesla truck. And, it's ugly. And I'll be the first to say it's hideous, but it's the future. I love the design of this truck. The fact that it can charge itself while sitting out on the driveway can radically change the way we think about cars even. Right now, we put this very delicate, fragile coat of paint on our cars. And then we park our cars in a building in order to protect it. Why? Because the sun will actually damage our car. I have a cute little Tiburon that is a great car, but because we bought a Tesla and we have to park the Tesla in the garage, the Tiburon has to sit out in the driveway in our hot Texas sun. It even got pelted by hail not too long ago. So this car that was in pristine condition when we moved here, now the paint is in bad shape. It's got a few dings on it just from sitting in the driveway. Now imagine cars of the future. Just because of this one car being developed, light bulbs are going off. I can see where things are headed. Future cars may not need a paint job. They may be built of a material that we can adapt the color just because of the way it's made. Well, then that car is safe sitting out in the driveway. In fact, it's improved sitting out in the driveway because the sunshine on it will charge it for you. You don't even have to plug it in. Wow, think about that. So now if that becomes the future car, how does that change the house? Do you even need a garage? Of course not. You could use your garage instead of an attic for storage. Future homes may not even have a garage. They may have a driveway around the back of your house, and you may have a small parking lot in the back. Maybe we don't have driveways in the front, because everything changes once that one change is made. If cars become more like the Tesla truck, it could radically change your home design, how you park your car, where you park your car, the size of your home, and you can see the dominoes falling, right? One thing leads to another, leads to another. That's what I want you to do. I want you not just to watch the trends. I want you to think about them. And I don't want you to reject or ridicule new things. Get on board with them. Think about, this could be negative in this way, but you know what? It could be positive in this way. And I believe people might actually buy into that, and things could start going in that direction. Imagine if you were 100 years ago, I guess it would be more than that now, if you saw your first car and you were like, oh, that's so ridiculous. Where are you gonna, how are you going to manage that? Horses are just fine. Well, those people became outdated really quickly. The people who saw computers come on board and they were just like, I hate technology, I'm never going to do that. They're irrelevant now. They can't keep up. But the people who get on board with modern changes, with radical changes that actually change the course of history, they're the ones who thrive. They're the ones who succeed. And my friend, you are a solopreneur. You are a business owner. You need to thrive, which means you need to watch the trends. You need to get on board. Don't ridicule, don't resist. Just look at the impact. If you see that it will change things, get on board quickly. You need to be at the front of the line, not following everyone else. That takes us to the next thing I want you to do. First, watch the trends. Second, learn new things, especially technology. And that's what my friend in LinkedIn was actually saying. Technology changes things so quickly. And if you're not able to learn technology, then yes, you are always going to be a step behind. So lean into it. Right now, AI is big. I don't love AI, but you know what? If it helps us do our jobs a little bit faster and a little bit better, by all means, we need to step in that direction. And while the technology may be a little bit rough right now, it's only going to get better. It is the future. So why not step into it now so you can begin to step into the future? Third, don't fall into the trap of doing things the way you've always done them. Again, we saw the dominoes falling, right? Well, if things begin to change, the way you do things will also change. Years ago, when I wrote longhand in a pad of paper. I still have some of my early stories, and my papers, the papers I turned in school, were handwritten. Today, nothing is handwritten. They actually are arguing, do we really need to teach kids handwriting? Well, I argue yes, because we do still write our names in a few things. We do take notes by hand occasionally. But the truth is, what we really need is to be able to learn how to write and type. And I did that very early. I was actually one of the earliest adopters of computers. And I was working in the PR department at our university, writing the newsletters and press releases and things like that. And there, I didn't have time to write everything out longhand and then transcribe it into a typewritten document. So at that time, I was a good typist, but I had to learn how to type as I thought, actually to dictate to myself. And even to this day, I'll like whisper what I'm trying to say as I type. It's like I'm listening to it while I'm typing. But those early years when I was just beginning to do that, I had to think about it because my brain was used to going through my fingers, like to a pencil or a pen onto a piece of paper. And then I was looking at the word when I typed. Here, I had to hear the word or think the word to type. And it was just a different memory muscle. It was a different way to approach what I did. That at the time was a big deal for me to learn how to type from my thoughts, not from something I could see. Now I do it without thinking. But that's the point. The world is going to change. Don't think you will always be doing things the way you do them now. So, you're going to come up with a process for how you do your job. Well, be aware next year, next month, that could change. That may no longer be the best way to do it. That's why I love creating SOPs. What's the real word for that? Standard operating procedures. And I've begun creating them for my business so I can hand off tasks to different people so I can hire people to help me. Because SOPs mean, okay, this is how we're doing it right now, but guess what? This isn't necessarily the best way. And if we ever find a way to improve on this checklist, by all means, we're going to update it. SOPs are meant to be updated. It's a fluid process. Same with your job. Come up with your SOPs. Write down how you're doing them and then really think about, is this the best way? Is there a better way? Maybe I can get some AI tool to do this for me. So always be looking at how you can use new technology and new trends to update the way you're running your business. And finally, read, learn, listen to podcasts. By the way, have you subscribed to this one yet? Because here's the deal. You must always be learning. I feel like that's always been my biggest advantage. I consider myself a lifelong learner. And so the fact that I graduated from high school, the fact that I got a degree, I went on for some graduate studies, it doesn't mean I'm done. The world is changing. There's so many things to learn. And I'm just like, I wish I had more time to learn because it's so much fun to step into all the things that are available to us today. That's what I want you to do. Enjoy learning. And it's really up to you what you learn. You can learn things that they're directly related to your job and will help you do your work better today. But you can also learn things that are kind of parallel or sideways to what you do. Because guess what? Many of the things you learn can be brought into your business and will help you think about what you do in a different way. Read, learn, take courses, listen to podcasts, especially this one, and you will constantly be updating the way you run your business and you will stay more relevant. The truth is, change happens. We are living in a moment of time that is radically changing everything. The world will never be the same as it was a year and a half ago. Never. But it's more than the pandemic that's changed things. I mean, the world is changing in so many ways. And the truth is we can't hold on to the past. We can't make things stay the same way that they were 50 years ago or 100 years ago. The world never was static. Life changes everything. Time changes everything. As a solopreneur, you must be relevant, which means you've got to be willing to change. You've got to be willing to adapt. In order for you to be your best self in this moment, you must constantly be shifting and changing and adapting and tweaking the way you do things. It rarely will be the massive change that happened in this last year. But the truth is, you will change every day, every month, every year of your life. And that's a good thing. It's not something we should be afraid of. So those feelings of uncertainty that you get because you're doing something new, don't shy away from that. It doesn't mean you're bad at anything. It means you're staying relevant. The snake has to shed a skin in order to move forward in his life. That's kind of how sometimes we have to shed our old way of doing things and we have to step into something new. That's what's going on right now. Like I said, I just took a flight to Las Vegas and it was so different than it was a year and a half ago flying. Everything has changed. Getting my hair cut was different, but it's all exciting. It's all new. So let's step into it joyfully. Let's step into it strategically. And let's use this opportunity to radically grow our business. Join us next week for another smart episode of the Solopreneur Life Podcast. And until then, stay awesome.